point, and it was a horrible crash, a horrible accident, and there were many, many people in the plane, but they all got killed, except for Jack, who lay on the bottom of a pile of bodies for a long time. And he always had nightmares from that. And he traveled with Jack. It was really fascinating to watch him while sleeping, and he could fall asleep anywhere, anytime. Jack was working the rudder. In the old days in airplanes, you work the rudder with your feet. And Jack's feet, if he was in an airplane sleeping, and say he's sitting next to me, and I'm watching, he's landing the plane with his feet. Fascinating, fascinating. He knew everything about every scandal that ever existed in Hollywood, and there are quite a few, of course. You know, the scandal about Felix.
Understanding, is that how Jackie Coogan started the law, Jackie Coogan law?
Yeah, they passed a law because he could do nothing, and he got a little bit of money from his mother, but that was it. Eventually, before he passed away, he made peace with his mother, and they saw each other a lot, and they got along very well. But he had to work because that great fortune he had was gone. And then Ted Cassidy. Ted was one of my best friends, and he had this heart problem, and there was a tumor on his heart, and he didn't make it. It's a long story, but kind of a sad one. But he was tremendously talented. He was like the giant who wanted to play Hamlet. Of course, we have so many tall basketball players now. Ted was 6'9", which back then was huge, but and he always complained that they never made things for tall people. Doorways, toilets, He was all very upset about that one.
I remember when we did the reunion movie, he had a Porsche. I remember watching him trying to get into the Porsche.
That's right. He was trying to squeeze into that car. But he was so talented. You look at Thing, what he did with Thing. There are a few bad shots of Thing which they had to make because Ted was also in the shot. And they had to use somebody else's hand, but it was never the same. Not yours. No. Nor mine. Nor Lisa's. No. It was Jack Boblin. And our assistant director. He had a large hand, so he did, but it wasn't his fault. Anyway, Ted was a tremendously talented guy, and then Carolyn. I loved Carolyn. Always did, and we were friends till she passed away. And I had a last meeting with her that was terrific. She was living much longer than they thought she would. She really hung on for a long time. But we got to tell each other everything we always felt and thought and so forth. It was a beautiful meeting. She lost a lot of weight and so forth, but her cheekbones were so great. Those cheekbones of hers, she was, even though she had, weighed, maybe 60 pounds or something like that, or I don't know. She was very, very thin. But she was still gorgeous because the cheekbones were just framing her face so beautifully. Anyway, I'm telling you about the demise of all of them. Anyway, but Carolyn and I would always have fun. We'd call each other up. I'd say something like, Carolyn Sue, I really miss nibbling your arm. we had a good time. All of us did. I mean, we had a generally pretty joyful set, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. It was a great group. I miss them all very much. Grandmama, she became my mother's friend, actually, my actual mother. They became very friendly.
John, was that true that Grandmama was the sister of Janet McDonald?
Yeah, yeah. But these people have no idea who Jeanette. Anybody here know who Jeanette McDonald was? Yeah. Hold on. Hey, all right. Somebody's over 11. That's good. Yeah, you got to be a lot over 11 to know Jeanette McDonald. But she was, Blossom Rock was her sister. Yeah, and they were very different. But we loved Blossom. She was great. And there were so many people who played the peripheral characters on that show. Alan Jocelyn, who played Mr. Hilliard, and Ralph Sedan, who played the mailman, and Vito Scotti.
Vito Scotti, yes.
Vito Scotti played many guests, but mostly he played a character called Sam Picasso, if you remember him. Vito was very. I used to be able to keep my Italian up, actually, because I was
also like the gentleman came in and he played the director, remember, for a queer play?
Who was it?
I can't remember, some German actor.
The German actor. No, Sig Rumen.
That's right.
Sig Rumen. In the Ernst Lubitsch movies, did you ever hear of the Ernst Lubitsch movies? Silence. I teach theater at Johns Hopkins University, and donations are gratefully accepted, by the way. But I teach, and it's really interesting for me. I've been doing it for about 8 or 9 years now, and I try to squeeze in professional. Of course, my manager, Eleanor Berger, had been planning suicide all this time, because I sort of walked out on her and went to university, and she doesn't get commission on my paltry university salary. So, I run into every year there's a new group of 17 and 18-year-olds, and gradually the people I use as examples when I first started teaching, they don't know who the hell they are now. Because it's very interesting. Youth today seems to have, there's so many stimuli that they don't go back in time for a long period. They may know, the last 2 or 3 years or whatever, but they don't have as much sense of 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years before. Not because they're young. When I was 12 years old, I heard about